Hi, everybody, and welcome to Spa Babies, presented by Stonestreet. I'm Dan Illman, along with Nicole Russo, and let's throw up the field for our final Saturday Spa Baby race of the 2024 Saratoga meet. It's the Grade 1 Spinaway. These two-year-old fillies going 7/8 of a mile, a strong field of 11 assembled. Stonestreet won this race in 2015 with a very popular Rachel's Valentina.
Yeah, Rachel's Valentina, of course, a lot of her popularity came from being the only daughter of the great Rachel Alexandra. Stonestreet principal Barbara Banke actually won the Spinaway in 2009 with her hot Dixie chick, who she campaigned in the name of Grace Stables back then during that magical summer of 2009 in Saratoga when Rachel Alexandra carried the Stonestreet colors to victory in the Woodward to cement her Horse of the Year campaign.
And this year's Spinaway is led by the number 8, the Queen's MG, who's looking for a rare sweep of the major two-year-old filly stakes races during the Saratoga meet. She's already captured the Schuylerville and the Adirondack. But we'll kick things off with the filly down on the rail, and that's the number 1, Immersive, with just a beautiful Godolphin pedigree. Trained by Brad Cox, Manny Franco will ride the daughter of Nyquist, who wins a strong 18% with two-year-olds. The second dam, a very fleet Grade 1 winner, Sprinter Dubai Escapade. And it was a little bit surprising, Nicole, that in this race, her career debut, she was such a big price.
Yeah, considering that beautiful pedigree, considering her connections, she was an upset debut winner. But, as you said, just a beautiful Godolphin pedigree, Nyquist on top, followed in the footsteps of his sire, Uncle Mo, by being a 2-year-old champion, then by being a leading freshman sire, had V-Quist, the Spinaway and Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies winner, in his first crop to earn a championship.
Number 2 is Sherbini, and this is a daughter of Cairo Prince, going out for Mark Cassey, who's just had a sensational Saratoga summer. Florent Giroux retains the mount on the filly that finished second in the Schuylerville last time out after a debut win against Restricted Company at Churchill Downs. She doesn't have a ton of early speed, but she fits the bill of a late-running sprinter that would take advantage of a fast pace, and she could get it here.
Absolutely. We often see a fast pace in these 2-year-old races, and a lot of them are going to be trying to navigate the extra furlong, going from 6 furlongs or 6.5 up to this 7. This is when we start to separate those horses, and Sherbini would certainly appreciate a strong pace in front of her. As you said, she won on debut, then was a good second in the Schuylerville to the Queen's MG. Not to be forgotten, Long Neck Paula, who was third that day, came back for a win.
The number 3 is Reliable Source. This is a daughter of Volatile, a Three Chimneys homebred trained by Steve Asmussen. Ricardo Santana Jr. takes them out. She ran really well in her debut, rallying from off the pace, and like many Asmussen-trained runners, improved second time out to score at Saratoga in this race, going 6.5 furlongs. Much improved speed this time for Reliable Source, who set some legitimate fractions, a 22 flat opening quarter, and then she shrugs off Margaret's Angel to go on to a win.
Yeah, and I like the gameness that she showed, professional while down inside a little bit. First crop sire Volatile, a Grade 1 winning sprinter himself, has 8 winners so far, including Tip Top Thomas in that Traverse Day maiden, which is always a deep event. Volatile was also trained by Steve Asmussen, who's got one of his daughters here. Asmussen, a 3-time Spinaway winner, including with the aforementioned Hot Dixie chick and including champion Echo Zulu 3 years back.
Very strong female family. The Productive Dam is foaled. Lady Glamour, 2-year-old graded stakes place. Mucho de Oro, a multiple Grade 3 stakes winner. Fantastic again, I believe, will be competing in a stake at Kentucky Downs earlier in the week. The number 4 is Tiz Purple. This is a daughter of Belmont Stakes winner Tiz the Law, out of a half-sister to a fast Grade 3 stakes winner named Baby J. Tiz Purple ran well on debut against open foes at Monmouth and found one of those maiden auction fields at Saratoga, and Tiz Purple ran very well. She seems quick out of the gate. She showed speed, as we see in the video, and Tiz Purple always finds a little bit more to deny this odds-on favorite.
Yeah, I think she's learning the racing game well and came out of that with a good work, which is always encouraging to me. Tiz the Law, yes, he was a classic horse at 3, was also a 1-turn mile Grade 1 winner at 2, expected them to show precocity, expected them to handle added distance. Again, we're looking for the ones who can add a little bit more ground here, and the 7 furlongs should be in Tiz Purple's scope.
Eric Cancel picks up the mount for Monmouth-based trainer Jorge Delgado. The number 5 is Slang, a winner's second time out, going 5.5 at Churchill Downs. This filly is by Omaha Beach, a very precocious stallion. The second dam, a multiple Grade 1 stakes place dirt router. She was vanned off at Saratoga, but Norm Cassie told Naira Publicity after that race she was perfectly fine. It was more a precautionary situation. And if Slang can run back to that number from 2 starts back, a 75 buyer, she's a contender.
Absolutely. We'll just see how much she got out of that Schuylerville effort, or if you have to treat her as coming off a layoff a little bit. She has come back to work several times, including once on the turf, which is curious to me. So it seems like she's getting a little more foundation, and that, again, nothing seems to be amiss with her. She lost her, as you said, was pulled up as more of a precautionary measure, lost her action behind for a second there, was pulled up quickly, and then proceeded to show how well she could move when she then got loose for several minutes on a messy Schuylerville day.
Mark Cassie has the 2 Sherbini as well as the number 6 Salted, who was second on debut as the odds-on favorite at Churchill Downs. Showed very good speed that day, then never had an opportunity to show her speed in her second lifetime start. She stumbled terribly at the break, wound up far, far behind, and she was the filly we saw making up a lot of ground to finish second to Immersive. She has a beautiful pedigree, being by legendary stallion Tappet out of a Grade 1 stakes winner. If she gets out of the gate, she can be a handful.
Yeah, and just beautifully bred here. Another one where the distance extension should suit her well. Tappet, before he became a multi-time leading sire, really made his name as a 2-year-old sire with champions Stardom Bound and Hanson, to his credit, early on in his career. Sired the dead heat winners of the Spinaway a few years ago in Sweet Loretta and Pretty City Dancer.
Number 7 is Pondering. This is a Godolphin homebred trained by Brendan Walsh. Luan Machado takes the mount. She's by Hard Spun out of a stakes-winning turf sprinter. The second dam was a Group 1 stakes-winning turf sprinter in her native Argentina, and Pondering showed that debut speed at Ellis Park. She was bet down to odds on. She was no secret, and she ran to her backing. It was a very easy and likable victory.
Yeah, likable is a great word for this filly. And Godolphin has been unveiling some very nice horses, it seems like, at Ellis this summer. That's an underrated program that is really going to be on the upswing as people take advantage of those huge purses and races in their backyard versus having to ship all around in the summer. A nice maiden score and then come into town for a prestigious race.
Brendan Walsh is such a good trainer, and he has wonderful numbers with these sort of horses. As we take a look at our formulator fact, last out maiden winners, 2-year-olds returning on dirt, 27% and a $3.45 ROI. The big name in the race is up next, and that's the 8, the Queen's MG. She won her debut at 45 to 1 at Keeneland, was purchased privately out of that race by first crop sire 1,000 Words. She was a little bit disappointing when bet down in the Astoria. Then she won at 44 to 1 in the Schuylerville, and then she did this. I mean, in the Adirondack, they finally showed her the respect she deserved. Bet down to 5 to 2, and she dominated.
Yeah, the queen of these fillies in New York right now, even though a few others have better figures than her, you don't run the races on paper, you run them on the track. Interesting that they're trying to sweep all 3 of these races with her. They're going to keep going with her while the iron is hot. The question just is how long she will hold that form. She's gone well throughout her career, taking little steps up in distance each time. And her first crop sire, 1,000 Words, who already has a couple of stakes winners to his credit, he was a graded performer around 2 turns from that classic Pioneer of the Nile, Empire Maker, Unbridled sire line. So you certainly think that if she can hold the form, the 7 furlongs is going to be within her scope as well.
Dylan Davis on board again for trainer Safi Joseph. The 9 is Strong State for Al Stall and Irad Ortiz. Tom's D'Etat is the sire of Strong State, an $18,000 short yearling. Speed on the bottom of this pedigree. The dam was a juvenile stakes winning dirt sprinter. This one ran well in her debut and finishing behind Sherbini at Churchill Downs. Much improved speed when winning this race at Saratoga earlier in the meet. The fractions weren't hot, but they were contested, and Strong State was gritty through this stretch.
Yeah, and it looks like the light bulb went on from start 1 to 2 with her. I didn't necessarily expect Tom Stata to have early winners, but as a grade 1 winning route horse who raced as an older horse and was one of the last significant sons of Smart Strike, it's nice to see him with a couple of nice horses from his first crop. And Strong State's got speed on the bottom of the family, certainly to balance out that route ability to go one turn.
The number 10 is Bellicose. What an impressive debut run we saw earlier this year for this daughter of Audible, going out for trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt. Here's Bellicose against a field of New York breds, just showing them her heels from start to finish, drawing away with a 71 buyer speed figure. She'll face tougher, but it's obvious she has ability.
Absolutely. She did scratch out of the Seeking the Ante on Sunday's New York Bred Showcase program to run here. And I think Jeremiah Engelhardt, in some of his comments this week, has been realistic that if this filly gets a piece of it, if she can get some grade 1 black type, he'll be very happy with that.
The number 11 is Quiet Side. I love this pedigree for this short leaf stable homebred. She's by Malibu Moon, 15% with 2-year-olds. The dam was a grade 2 stakes winner. I think she won the 8 bells at Churchill Downs. The second dam was a graded stakes winner. And Quiet Side dominated a field full of debut runners back on August the 4th. Let's watch that race right now. She showed good tactical speed in here, and Bellos and Quiet Side is just settling on the outside. She takes over for good, and she's on her way. Have to respect that 80 buyer speed figure.
Absolutely, a very good figure. Gets a little tiny bit green, I think, here. She looks like she wants to hop over to the other lead, but I liked the professionalism that she showed through the rest of the race, kind of sitting kindly outside of horses and then going when it was time to go. And Johnny Ortiz going for back-to-back wins in this race after saddling Bright Work last year.
Luis Saez aboard the 11 Quiet Side. Let's take a look at our top selections for the grade 1 Spinaway. It'll be interesting to see if the Queen's MG can pull off the sweep. Nicole, you're going with Salted, understandable considering all of the trouble she had second time out.
Absolutely. And, again, as I said, I think the question for this race is how long the Queen's MG can hold her form. If she does, she might be unbeatable here, but, no horse is a machine. They all have off days, they all have peaks and valleys. And if she takes a step back, I'm looking for a filly who's eligible to take a step forward at some value. And I think Salted has the ability to do that, especially at this distance, and especially if she has a bit of pace to run into after a clean break.
This looks like a spread race for me in any sort of multiple race wagers. That's wide open. Tiz Purple's going to be my top selection. I thought she improved second time out and was very game to deny an odds-on winner, although that horse has shown an affinity to run second thus far in her career. But she should be a good price stepping way up in class. And I also do want to use the 11 Quiet Side, who earned that 80 buyer in her debut and showed that she could sit outside of horses, which could be a key as she breaks from post position 11. 6, 8, 11, 7 for Nicole, 4, 11, 9, 7 for me. It's the grade 1 Spinaway on Saturday at Saratoga, and we're presented by Stonestreet. Good luck.